Welcome back, my beautiful humans, to another episode of If I Die Tomorrow. I'm your host, Nicole, and once again, thank you. Thank you for coming here, and thank you for being seen. I appreciate you. Actually, I was gonna apologize for being emotional in my last episode, but I'm not gonna do that because that would be untruthful. Because I'm not sorry. I appreciate everything that I feel. I may not always say it in the most eloquent of ways, but I at least say it. And I will say something else, and I have said this, I try not to cuss on this or use swear words, whatever, however you'd like to say it. But I will tell you that I learned something a long time ago is no matter how eloquently it's spoken, bullshit is still bullshit. And I don't ever want that to be the case here with us. Because if I die tomorrow, that's not what I want to be known for. So I'm okay with that. I will talk about, if it's not emotional, then it doesn't really deserve a place, I guess. Seat at the table. Emotion is what helps drive our connections, right? But I'd like to talk about in this next episode, if you look at how history is written, it's always about major milestones. It's the weddings, the graduations, the big promotions, the retirements, the trips. We buy expensive cameras for these days. We put on our best clothes. Some of us even do our hair. Not today, but we do. And we make sure that we record the big milestones. But let's be honest. If you sit with someone who is nearing the end of their life, or someone who is deeply mourning the loss of a person who anchored them, they almost never talk about the promotions or the graduations. They talk about the way the light came in through the kitchen window on a random Thursday. They talk about the specific terrible laugh their partner has when their joke falls flat. They talk about the predictable. They talk about the comforting sounds like the keys hitting the door at 5:30 on a weekday afternoon, or the sound of the car backing into the driveway. The familiar. Today I want to invite you in to what I call the archive of the ordinary. We're so busy chasing the extraordinary moments that our real life, the actual fabric of who we are and the relationships we build, our lives entirely in the margins and in the unremarkable, in the everyday spaces that we choose to ignore. Not because they mean nothing, but because we don't feel that they are big enough. The true internal architecture of a relationship is built out of the things that don't make the greatest of posts or the fanciest of occasions or the best pictures. It's the boring days. It's the way you sit on the couch together, both reading different things, not saying a word, but feeling entirely safe because you're in the same room. It's that shared silence. You know it. You've probably just pictured your person that you can do that with. And that feeling of safety, of peace almost, comfort. When we look back, the pain of loss is often the loss of the routine. We don't hate death because of what it is. We hate it because we're selfish for what it's taken. It's the realization that the routine was the gift. We treat our day-to-day habits like the clutter we have to get through, to get to the real parts of life. The mundane is is our junk drawer. We all have it. But what if the daily presence is the simple act of showing up, making the coffee, asking about the mundane details of a coworker's day or your partner's day? What if those things are the most sacred things that we ever do? I want us to stop speeding up our life. And this touches every single one of us, no matter our age or our background. We are all moving too fast. I have had conversations where, I think, God, how can it already be May? Or when it just feels like just 2 weeks ago, it was January 1st. And I'm not the only one. It feels like every day is faster and faster, and we're losing time. But because of that, we treat our lives like a checklist that we have to complete rather than experience. Think about how we listen. When someone is telling us about their boring day or a minor frustration, are you actually there? Did you actually make the connection with what maybe they're thinking is mundane or boring? Are you giving them the feeling that it's not and it's worth something to you? Or are you just waiting for them to hurry up and finish so you can get on with your next task? Or say, well, I did listen to you. Be honest with yourself. When we treat the ordinary details of life and the people that are in our life feel like you're doing it just as a chore or a nicety, we are missing life. We're missing connection, and it's standing right in front of us. Every person in your life is a massive collection of stories, quirks, and quiet fears. If we only pay attention when they're doing something spectacular, we only ever read the dust jacket of who they are. Here's a thought I want you to carry this week. A life well lived is not measured by the grand chapters the world applauds, but by the way quiet grace is found in unwritten spaces of an ordinary afternoon. If I die tomorrow, I don't want my people to remember me as someone who was always looking past them. I want them to remember that when we talked about the most minor, mundane thing in the world, they had my absolute, undivided attention. I want to archive their truth, their whole truth, not just a highlight reel. They deserve better. Frankly, so do I. So do you. I know this sounds great and all, but how do we practice this? How do we make it a practical thing and not a checklist on a to-do list? Well, it's going to take time and effort, obviously. But I will also say, the next time someone is in your inner room and they start telling you a story about their day or an irritation at a grocery store, even if it's just about a traffic jam or a broken printer or an article that they read, try a tiny mental shift. Imagine you are the single, solitary guardian of this person's history. If you were the only one who would ever hold this moment for them, how differently would you listen? Slow down the speed of your attention. Try to slow down life. I've said it before, and it is something that I will say forever. There are days that are really, really long, but our years are short. Let the mundane be significant. Appreciate the routine while it's still a routine. Because one day, it will just become a memory. As always, be kind, be grateful, stay humble,